There are tools you can use to help you plan your learning. Here in the design room, they use computers, charts, lists. There's one tool that you can use, and that's a mind map, which is simply a way of planning on paper in a very visual way. Here's how.
A mind map is a good way of planning an event such as buying a car or planning a party. Here is a finished mind map showing plans for a party. You will notice the central idea of a party and the range of ideas linked to it. The mind map gives you a visual way of reminding yourself of all the things that need to be done to make your party a success. Start with either the word party or a photograph or drawing of a party in the centre of the paper. Then think about all the other things you'll need to do and organise for your party. Where is it going to be? Who do you want to invite? What about food and drink? Do you want music? If so, will it be a band or a DJ? As other ideas strike you, either add them to your central idea like this, or if you want to get more detail about any aspect, you simply add on that particular idea. Check page 126 in the workbook and try making a mind map of your own.
Another way to think about a learning plan is to see it as a series of stepping stones or steps. Steps that will take you from where you are now to where you want to be in the future. And when you sit down to think about that plan, you've got to ask yourself some questions. For example, what do you want to achieve? Say you want to become a sculptor. Then you'll ask yourself, when do you want to achieve it by? Maybe by the end of next year. And finally, who or what do you need to put you on the right track? Well, for Jimmy Keeley, he decided the best way to tackle his learning plan was to talk to adult education counsellor Peter Coffey.
So what can I do for you?
I would like to improve my reading skills, writing skills and spelling skills.
Alright. And what are you doing at the moment?
I'm doing reading and writing and spelling at the moment, but I want to advance in what I'm doing. Like it's basically, I think that I'm not doing enough.
Planning is vital in the learning process. There are too many adults who begin or start classes on their own initiative, and they discover that after a few weeks or after a few months that this course isn't suitable for them, or the level of that course isn't suitable. So the guidance would help to identify for the student, for the adult learner, a level that they can enter. In the planning process as well, we would have a progression route where the adult understands that there's different levels of learning. There are different courses to match those levels of learning. And part of that plan would be what I would call a personal development plan for a client. And that's where you would clarify both a short-term goals in terms of the next 3 to 6 months, and also have long-term objectives. Let's talk about your short-term goals.
Short-term goals would be just to be able to read and write and spell properly. And
right. This is over the next 6 to 9 months, all right?
Yeah.
Over
that I could just pick up a paper and not have any worries, or if somebody handed me something or something that I wouldn't panic or get frustrated.
Your long-term goals.
Long-term goals.
By that I'd mean over the next year or 2 years. What would you be looking for?
Hopefully to sit the junior cert, and then see how that goes, and then from there would be possibly leaving cert.
You literally want to follow the academic line.
Yes.
Go down. But you didn't have the chance to do before.
Which I didn't have before.
Alright, yeah. And then once you got to that stage, then your options are open. Without guidance, there are a lot of pitfalls. People would tend to take what I would call the academic merry-go-round. They'll hop from one course to course to course, year after year, without actually making any personal progress. They're comfortable with the level they're at. They're comfortable with the interaction with the people in the groups that they meet. But in terms of their academic achievements, there's very little progression. They need to understand that in order for learning to take place, there has to be a challenge. You have to make sure that you pick a course that you're capable of achieving, even if it's difficult at the beginning.
As you work through your plan, you may find from time to time that you have to review how it's going. For instance, say you set aside 3 hours a week for learning that new language. Well, Are you still keeping that up, or have you fallen by the wayside? Are you getting distracted by loads of other things going on? Maybe you've set your sights too high, and because of that, you're putting yourself under pressure. Well, if that is the case, then take the time to examine your plan and see what needs to be changed. Remember, it's your plan. Make it clear enough so you can see your progress, but don't be afraid to change it, to adapt it to suit you. Every newspaper has a classified advertisement section. All the advertisements are grouped under specific headings so that it's easy to locate what you're interested in. The cost of placing advertisements in newspapers is usually based on cost per word, so that's a good reason for using abbreviations. Under the heading Situations Vacant, you may read an advertisement like this. Driver required. Experienced van driver required immediately. For part-time position in city centre. Minimum 2 years experience. For information, phone 01 89 99 999. The abbreviations used in this ad are REQD, required. EXP, experienced. IMMED, immediately. PT, part-time. POS, position. MIN, minimum. YRS, years. INFO, information. PH, phone.
If you have any questions or you'd like some help with anything we've covered in this or last week's programme, call the NALA free phone number. It's 1800 20 20 65. Specially trained tutors are standing by to take your call from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m, Monday to Friday. Calls are free and confidential.
Hi, Derek.
Hi Terry, I'm just fiddling with these printing blocks. They look fantastic. How did you get on at Drogheda?
Drogheda was great. I think at this stage I might know all there is to know about making a plan. Will we compare notes?
Why not? One of the first things we looked at today is how important it is to have a clear goal in mind before you can set out to plan your learning. It's vital that you know where you're headed before you can put a plan together.
Another thing we covered was how you can plan your budget.
Budgets are necessary for you to manage your money effectively. To make a budget, it's important that you write down all the items that will cost money and then add them up. When planning your household budget, include expenses like electricity, phone bills, heating, and so on. In this example, you'll need €180 every 2 months to pay the bills. If you're paying these bills every 2 months, divide the total by 2 to find out how much money you need to put aside every month, and that's €90.
A learning plan has to be created to suit you, your learning style and the life you lead. It's your plan, tailored and fitted around your family and work commitments, and leading to where you want it to go.
And this week, our spelling practice featured a word search.
Word searches are often found in newspapers and magazines. Real words are hidden in a grid of jumbled up letters. So to find them, you need to look for combinations of letters running across or down the grid. You'll find it easier to do word searches if you remember spelling rules. For example, the letter Q is always followed by the letter U.
A learning plan has to be flexible so that when things change, and you know they will, you can adapt your plan to whatever life throws at you.
It also helps to think of your learning plan as a series of steps, building day by day, week by week. Okay, some weeks you learn more than others, but at least with a plan to guide you, you'll always be moving forward.
And we learned how to make a mind map.
Mind maps are useful for organising events, for example, a party. Put the main idea in the middle and then think about all the things you need to do. Add a line to your main image for each of these new things, in this instance, music, and do the same again so that your mind map grows out from the centre.
Most VECs around the country have an adult education guidance service, so why don't you check in your local area for details?
We also explained some of the common abbreviations in advertisements.
Advertisements use abbreviations to keep costs low. Words and phrases such as required and part-time are shortened to the abbreviations REQD and P/T. This is to keep the ad as short as possible while including a lot of information.
Well, that wraps it up for this week. Next week, we'll be discovering all the different pathways of learning.
But for now,
From us.
goodbye.